Hey, good morning, Ashley. Happy Tuesday to you. It's good to see you today as always. Did you have a good weekend? Anything exciting happen? Or do we just keep it more chill? Good morning, Denira. Welcome to you as well. So how are both of you doing today? Good start to your week so far? Have a good weekend? Freaking out because the first term is almost done? How's everybody feeling so far? While we wait for some more people to join us. Good morning, Tehran. Good to see you, brother.
Good morning, Mr. Tom.
Good, still a little behind, Denard. That is fine. That is why we have the Summit Lab, so don't forget to use those. And we're going to pretty much have time to get caught up all these last 2 weeks in here today. morning, Mod. Good to see you.
Sorry.
Got some people trickling in. All right, we'll give it about 5 more minutes and then we'll start our community meeting. I'm going to send out some final reminders. Celebrity guest has joined us, I see. Whoa. With a new look and everything.
I had to get glasses for my headaches.
Oh no.
Yeah, they block the blue light on the computer.
I get that blue light for I have that on mine.
Yeah, because my doctor said it would help a lot. Because I've been like incapacitated a couple times from my
Oh
migraine.
wow. Are they like migraines?
Yeah, I went to the emergency room the other day. So
Oh my gosh.
I know I've never done that before. It's getting worse. Yeah. How's everyone doing? We have Ashley, Nyla, Ron, Manuel.
This is writing Tuesday, Friday. All right, y'all. We'll give it about maybe 3 more minutes and then we will get started. I'm sending out a last round of reminders here. So if you get a Google Hangouts or an email message from me, you may disregard it since you are already here. Good job. All right, we got people trickling in. That is good. Good morning, Rashawn. Welcome, welcome. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Hope everybody is on track to be all caught up since our first term in this virtual school year is almost over. Remember, next Friday is our final day. So make sure you get everything caught up. If you know you're behind, don't forget to utilize those afternoon summit labs. We are there from 1 to 3. Those are a great time to get some one-on-one help and figure out what you need. And then we are going to have our all school assembly for awards and stuff for this most recent progress report, which hopefully will come out probably tomorrow. We'll have that this Friday. So if you know you are green in some of your classes, if you took the STAR test, then probably some Amazon gift cards coming your way. So exciting stuff. And there's also the financial literacy workshop today at 11:30. So I will share the link for that in the chat before we leave, in case any of you are interested in attending.
Has anyone done that before?
Yeah, has anybody gone yet?
Because Rory's great.
Yeah, highly recommended. Very, very good stuff. Very useful stuff.
He can even make me understand math, which is like a feat.
And I was saying to one of my friends the other day, my uncle is a CFO, chief financial officer, and I'm like refinancing one of my student loans, and so he was like talking me through that, like this is the best rate option and stuff, and I was like, just when you talk to somebody who understands finances, like, and then they can explain it to you, it's like it like opens up your whole, it's like a whole nother dimension opens up, because you're just like, oh, it's just like you they think about it in a way that like makes it so easy, and you're like, why did I never think of it that way? Crazy. Does anybody else feel that way? Or if you don't, maybe you will if you go to this financial literacy workshop.
To change your life.
For sure.
It's actually like, I don't know about you guys, but it's the number one thing that we've been asked to provide is like financial literacy or business,
Mhm.
knowledge. So
Yeah, I know. I've definitely heard it from a few of you. Like, what would you like to learn?
yeah.
So hopefully you all attend that. Again, I'll put the link in there later. But ladies and gentlemen, it is 9/11. So let's go ahead and kick it into gear. Again, welcome. Good morning to everybody. Thank you all for logging on to our community meeting. Like I said, these are our final 2 weeks. So we will meet again this Friday, and then next Tuesday and next Friday. And then that is it. First term ends on November 6th, and we have that week in between. And then we come back kind of after Veterans Day, I believe. And as some of you probably know, if you don't, we are going to start next term virtually as well, given the Dr. Height, the superintendent's latest plan with reopening and COVID and all that stuff. We're probably going to be virtual until at least January, maybe end of January. Hopefully, it doesn't go too much longer than that. But they have to keep an eye on like the number of cases that are going up and how we can access the building and all that stuff. So just know that, just be prepared to start the next term virtually as well. But you guys are doing an amazing job. I know it is not easy at all, and it's frustrating at times. So we appreciate all your hard work and patience. And, we're having trainings and stuff like that to keep getting better and keep figuring out ways to make it easier for you guys and, more stuff to do like during class. So it's not just us talking at you. And so hopefully we can utilize some of that for next term. So just real quick before I put our quote up to talk about this morning, I'll just give everybody a few minutes if they, to share like how do we feel about that, starting the next term virtually. Do we feel okay because we're kind of used to it now? Are we a little bummed that we're not going to be back in the building? Do we prefer being virtual? What do you guys think? Let us know in the chat, or if you want to answer verbally as well. But
And also like hearing from you guys helps us know, if there's something that we should do better, if there's something a particular teacher does that you really like or that you find helpful. Hearing that helps us maybe talk to other teachers about how they can, do the same thing.
yeah, definitely. So let's take maybe like 2 minutes here. And if there are any thoughts on next term, starting virtually, maybe being all virtual again, what are you guys thinking? What are you guys feeling? Share that in the chat or verbally with us if you can. In case you hear, I will put that question in the chat as well. Is it like more one-on-one, like breakdowns? Like that's what you'd like to see more of, Denira? Is that what you're saying? Okay, that's actually, again, like Ms. Kelsey, that's actually super helpful. So that's something we can try to focus on as we plan for next term. Utilizing breakout rooms more, doing more one-on-one. I know that's one thing that's been the toughest, I'm sure for you guys, but definitely for me too. Like when we're in the building in the classroom and somebody has a question, I can go, right over to your seat and be like, okay, hey, or like, come back to my desk. Or break rooms where we work together. That's cool too. I like that. I definitely want to try to do more of that as well, like small group work.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Makes it
Excellent.
more like the school building, right?
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else with similar thoughts, different thoughts about our next term, how we feel? Is there anything we could improve on as we start virtually again?
Anything you really don't like, because that's important too. Need to interact more. Yep.
I agree.
Do you think, Denira, is that like on the teachers to make it more interactive, or do you think that it's like part of the whole community? Like students need to interact more, teachers need to make it more interactive. What would you guys suggest to make it more interactive? And maybe breakout rooms are part of that.
Mhm.
Not just Denira, I mean anyone, if you have input, we love to hear it.
Yeah, I know we have some very, very insightful thinkers in here, so feel free to share any thoughts you may have. And if not, that's fine. Give this maybe another minute. Good morning, Miss Jem.
Hey, Jen.
Hello. Good
Yeah,
morning.
Flash Mover Interactive. All right, Denira. I hear you. Well, again, thank you. Those are very, very good suggestions. All right, so let's just, before I throw our quote up to discuss for this edition of Community Meeting, I believe Miss Jem has some very, very exciting announcements.
Yeah, I have a couple of announcements. I also have been checking into classes in the first period to do a sort of a town hall just to get like feedback and to get, the opinions of students on, how is the virtual learning space going and how could we maybe do it differently or improve upon it. It looks like Denira was saying something in the chat earlier, and she had some really good things to say yesterday in Miss Christina's class. And so I just have like a couple of little questions to just kind of check in with you guys. And I just want to start off and, ask what is something that you have really enjoyed this term? It doesn't have to be like specifically related to your classes or anything. It can just be something about the virtual experience that has worked for you that you think, yes, Philly is doing a good job of implementing. And you can just hop into the chat or you can unmute yourself, either way. So I'll give a few minutes to just like think on that.
Can you put that question in the chat as well, Ms. Jen?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
No worries. So very similar to kind of what we were just talking about. But don't be afraid to put something in the chat because, again, like Ms. Telsey was saying, your responses and your feedback will only help make this virtual stuff better. It's like the more we hear from you, the more we can adapt and change so that it is easier for everyone. So if there's something that you want to share, or like that's been on your mind about like, oh, this would make this stuff a lot better, then now's the time. If we don't hear from you, then we can't implement any of these things.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Just
Yes.
kidding though, because I'm gonna be back.
So, question is in the chat. What is one thing you have enjoyed this term? And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Jem, but it can be just in general. It doesn't have to be about like academics, correct?
Yeah, it can be anything. It can just be like, I enjoy, you doing classes on my own time or anything or classwork. Yeah. Personal freedom.
God.
As always, Ahmad, I appreciate your honesty.
There you go.
No problem.
Someday we'll talk about like when you need to be honest. We do always appreciate
I'm
you.
always honest.
All right. Does
Anyone-
anyone else have anything they want to add?
Anyone else?
So Denira was just talking about how
Working with different
you know,
websites.
so he
Okay.
said doing virtual helped me learn about working with
Working different websites.
Well,
Yeah.
you're getting a little more fluent with technology, maybe,
Increasing your computer literacy skills for sure.
which is a good skill for the future.
Yeah.
But she was also talking about how we need to be more interactive, and I
Mhm.
think that also comes from you guys, being willing to open up and participate more, because I think you'll probably all agree that the more you guys are interacting with each other, the more interesting class is, right?
Definitely.
So this is an opportunity.
Is there a way that, you guys think that being online gets more grades than being in school? That's
Why do you
good.
think? Why do you think that is?
Good
Ashley?
grades.
Is it because you can focus because you're just by yourself rather than like being at school having to go back and forth? Why do you think that is? Why do you think you get more done being online than at school?
You're
Okay.
utilizing that resource.
Resources.
Stuff up on the internet as always. Very interesting. Thank you.
And in the
That's
real
right.
world, you can always use
Just
the
call me
internet
like that,
to
Lee.
find things out.
What's up, Ahmad?
What'd you say?
He straight called me out like that.
All
I
right.
always said our students are very resourceful.
Definitely.
That's a good thing. Everyone needs to be more resourceful because it's a great skill to have.
Let's-
So yeah. And then I guess the next thing that I wanted to talk about is there something that you find annoying, difficult, challenging, something that that's been on your mind and you've been thinking of, I really wish this was different. What is one thing you would change? And it doesn't have to be something that is super thought out or realistic, just anything. If you could change one thing, what would it be? Nothing.
So you're perfectly happy with being online and not going back to the building, Ahmad?
I think he's perfectly happy with some of his extracurriculars. He's doing class, if you ask me. But
More like a
I
co-curricular.
could be wrong. A co-curricular.
Does seem like you like online learning, right, Rashawn?
Well, do you wish you could change it, or do you like that? My cat wants to say hi.
Wow.
She jumped up onto this.
Just like a stuffed animal.
I know.
I know. I was about to be like, what a tiny cat.
She is a rag doll. She's a little kitty.
Nara likes being in the building. I know Rashawn has mentioned he can focus more online. Yeah. I know most of us, listen, like we like being in the building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like I said, the minute they're like, hey, you can go back in the building, we will be there.
Yeah, Rashawn, you're right. It is still COVID for sure. And that's why we are not there.
That is true.
I'm like relieved to hear you say that, because I feel like most of this world has forgotten that we are still in the midst of it.
2 weeks at a time. Like it's like
Hi, Jarrett.
Yes, Kelly.
Denard, do you mean it's more productive online or in the building?
in the
More
building.
productive in the building.
Yeah.
Why do you think like you're more bless you.
Sorry.
You're more productive, or just like classes in general are more productive in the building? And why do you think that is? And does anybody else agree with her sentiment? Do we feel like we're more productive in the building or online?
More
distracted?
distractions. Yeah, for sure.
That's something that's so interesting because I've heard it both ways from as I've talked to different students. Like some have said, no, there's actually less distractions because it's just me at home and like everybody in class talking so I can focus better. And other people have said like, when I'm online, I can pull up Instagram or like go to this other website or I can play 2K at the same time. So, I'm actually more productive in the building. So that's been an interesting one to see the difference. Good morning, Tyson.
Is there a way for you guys to the distractions that you have, are there ways that you can avoid them, or are they things that are not avoidable? Basically, like out of your control.
They could be avoidable with self-discipline.
Yeah, maybe that is something to focus on, like a good we talked twice about setting goals and all that stuff. Maybe that can be one to focus on for next term. Like, okay, how do I block out some of these distractions? Is it going to a different spot in my house, a different spot in my room? Is it like, getting into a certain routine when I log on in the morning, things like that? Because I'm sure like I would venture to guess the answer to that question to most of you is kind of like maybe even half and half. Because I know some of you might be at home with siblings who are also in school, or for any of you, I don't think we have any parents in here today, but I know we have a couple students who are parents and they're like their children are at school at the same time, like virtually. So I know those things are kind of like the unavoidable distractions that Ms. Jem was talking about. But the ones that we know are avoidable, maybe that's something we can focus on for next term. Like, okay, like even just pick one of them, just start, because try to do all at once. That's never gonna be successful. So like, okay, what's the biggest one that I know is a distraction, and how can I alleviate that? What can I do? And then start there. And then once you get that one down, okay, what's the next one? And then the more you do it might take a little bit, but the more you do it, then the easier it'll be.
Yeah. And I definitely, even working, I have distractions of my own. I try to put my phone in a cabinet. I literally have to put it in a cabinet or I will check Instagram. So that's just what I have to do. And I think that I would recommend it to everyone if you want to get focused and get stuff done efficiently and fast. If anyone else has anything else, feel free to drop that in the chat. But I did want to sort of announce or ask about some upcoming center activities. The first one is, of course, going to be our Make Sense Financial Literacy Workshop, and it's going to be at 11:30 today. Check your emails. Please check your emails. I sent the Zoom link, and so you can join from there. How many of you guys am I going to see? Because I know you want to get your money right, like me.
We were actually just talking about that at the beginning.
Ahmad, I'll see you there. Yeah. Dinner, awesome.
Ladies and gents, please go. That is very, very good stuff. And I know a lot of us are aspiring entrepreneurs. Like, I want to own my business or do this, do that. So if there was ever a guide to help you get to that point, it is Mr. Sullivan. So if you ever
want to start a business, if you want to buy a really nice bag or a house or a car, whatever, you need to save some money up, this is the guy that's going to get you there. And so I'm trying to get my money up, doing the best I can in a pandemic. And Rory is giving a lot of good tips that are just like really easy things for us to do. We can all do them. It doesn't matter where we're at. So I will see you guys at 11:30. And then I also wanted to sort of ask about some other activities. And I want you guys to respond what sounds the most interesting. So we're thinking about a partnership with Land Health Institute. We're going to be growing plants from home. And then I'm also thinking about starting a maybe a photography club based off of a suggestion from a student where we can learn about how to take great pictures even from like our phones and edit them. And then the last one would be something that Ty would probably advocate for, which would be a writer's room kind of activity that is going to be sort of a way to present, to workshop things. Maybe if you like to write stories or scripts, or, you want to be a director, or you want to just be a journalist or something like that. Those are the 3 ideas that I'm sort of having right now. And then there's one more coming along, which is going to be acting classes taught by an actor from a Hulu original that's coming out soon. And that's going to come up later this winter. So just keep that in mind if you're a budding star. But yeah, from the 3 options I said, growing plants, a photography club, or a writer's room. Can you guys respond in the chat which is most interesting to you, and what you'd be the most likely to pick if you have to pick?
So if it helps, do you just put the number like 1, 2,
Yeah.
or 3? So Ms. Jem has it in the chat right now. So of those 1, 2, and 3, which one is the most interesting to you? But Ms. Kelsey's right. They are all amazing.
I would do all of them. I wish my high school had that.
Yeah. So please, again, if we can get a number from everybody, the more people we get, the more responses we get, I should say, the better it'll help out Miss Jem and her planning.
Definitely.
I surely am.
Of those classes that she listed in the chat, 1, 2, and 3, which one sounds the most interesting to you? Which one would you probably take? Put the number in the chat, please. And then this is actually a great way to wrap up this morning. I anticipated doing another quote, but I think this discussion was much more useful. So I'll just quote to next time. So thank you to Miss Kelsey and Miss Jem for their sage wisdom and expertise. So we only have a number in there from Deniva right now. So we would love to hear from all of you. So those 3 classes that are in the chat, growing plants from home, starting photography, or like a writer's room, which one sounds most interesting to you? Which one would if you had to take one of them, which one would you take? Put the number of that class in the chat, please. Unless you had anything else, Miss Jem. I'm sorry. I just realized I was like, let's wrap up.
No, that's exactly where I was at. So you
All right,
on the
cool.
same wavelength. Ahmad said 1.
Myself though.
Okay.
Ahmad, you're consistent, I'll tell you that.
Very
I was just thinking that. I was like, at least
There
and
is.
he's like, this is my lane and this is where I live. And that's
Yeah, he knows.
That's how you gotta be in life.
I agree. I think Miss Kelsey's right. I think there's a little finesse that you have to learn, but I agree that you should never be scared to speak your mind. It's very difficult to have.
And Dinar, to answer your question, I don't know the exact kind of plants, but if there is a certain, like if you guys like flowers more than another thing, I think we're leaning towards food or herbs, like something that you could actually grow and use would be a good option, but we're not like decided 100% yet. So if there's any input you have, feel free to reach out. I'm going to drop my email in the chat for all of you guys. If there's anything, if you have any suggestions, if you don't like my ideas, I won't get mad. I won't get offended. My feelings aren't going to get hurt. But yeah, go ahead and email me if you do have any suggestions. And other than that, I will see you guys, hopefully all of you guys at 11:30, and we are going to get in our bag. So yeah, have a great class. Bye. And Ty, thank you for letting me pop into your class.
Yes, absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Miss Jem. All right, y'all.
Bye.
Again, if you have any questions about that stuff, just shoot Miss Jem an email. Her email's in the chat. I don't know about you guys, but I think she has been a great addition to Yes Philly so far with the classes she's trying to implement and the Yes Philly Center and trying to like bolster our sense of community. And I can't wait until, I don't know when it's going to be, but I can't wait until we are back in the building and she can kind of have her own office and kind of be there in person. I think that's when a lot of that stuff is really going to take off, when we can like see it in person, like, oh, here's info about this class. I can grab a flyer or whatever it is.
Can I ask one last question?
Sure.
Since you all kind of said that, like Mr. V and myself, you wish that we were back in the building. I wonder what it is about being in the building that you miss the most. Like we all wish that we're back in the building, but I wonder if we all have different reasons for wishing that we were there. You can drop it in the chat or
You're around people.
around people. So it's
Okay.
like isolating to be at home and do work virtually.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big extrovert, so we're actually just doing it in my creative writing class on Mondays and Thursdays. In our community meetings, we're talking about personality types and personality tests and stuff like that. So I always love being around people, and that's kind of like how I recharge. So that's the same for myself as well. Any other thoughts? You can throw them in the chat or come off mute if you want. But I think it's a really good question. I'll put it in the chat as well. It's a really good wrap up for today. We've already heard from Ahmad that we're around people, other students, teachers, whatever it is. So we're not just by ourselves in class all the time. What else? Anything else that comes to mind? Because I think Miss Kelsey's right. I think everybody wants to be back there, but I think each of us might have a different reason of why we want to be back there the most.
Yeah, for me, it's like I don't feel like I can do my job as well. It's harder to do my job from home. I feel like I'm really
For you and for counsel, like for you and the counseling interns especially, I can see how tough that is. And I'm sure some of you guys, your answer might even be, I miss going to Miss Kelsey's office the most. That is always a hip happening spot. Any other thoughts? Let's see if we can get one or two more in the chat before we wrap up our meeting this morning. What do we think?
Yeah, Ahmad, your school buddies. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. Hey, have you guys been in touch with each other as much when you're home? Is that harder? I mean, I'm assuming there's a little bit over like social media and stuff, but. Yeah. Good. I'm glad. I think that's really important to stay in contact with everyone. It's easy to kind of fall out of touch with friends. I have to like make an effort to call my friends.
Being home don't feel like school as much as the building. When you say it doesn't feel like school as much, you mean like as like, okay, I'm going to school. This is like, you get your head kind of wrapped around like, okay, now I'm in school. I can focus on academics, and it's a little bit harder to be in that same kind of environment when you're at home. Am I understanding you correctly? Cool. Yeah.
Do you guys think that once we go back, you'll have like a different appreciation for it, even though it's annoying to get up every day and, get up early?
Another question. Miss Kelsey with the insightful questions.
I think it's given me another appreciation for that. I'm not a morning person, so it's always hard.
Yeah.
50-50. Yeah. Because I feel like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like there's been a lot of things since COVID happened that might fall under that kind of umbrella of like, this is something that maybe I took for granted before, or I felt like this was a chore to do, like, oh, I have to go out and do this, or I have to get up to do this. But then since COVID, we haven't been able to do a lot of those things. Now we're slowly starting to get back to a new normal. I think there's a lot of those where, like, maybe once all this is behind us, we'll have a new appreciation for a lot of those things. Like even something as simple as like going to the grocery store and not having to like stand 6 feet apart and like make sure you have, like all that stuff.
Or
I
have
think
a
At least
hug
for
a
me.
friend. Yeah. I feel like we
I think I'll be more interested in my work. That's really interesting, Janira.
yeah.
It's good to hear. Anyone else we haven't heard from in a while? Ashley, Rashawn. Anyone else?
You seem always someone who has a lot to share. In a good
Yes.
way.
One thing we miss most, or what we think, if we'll have a new appreciation when we go back. Any last minute thoughts here?
I will leave you with the last minute thought, unless anyone else wants to jump in. I would say, I know obviously we don't do everything perfectly at our school because no school does. But what we always hear from you guys is that you appreciate how much your teachers and staff care about you. And so that is why it's really helpful when you guys can give us feedback, because you know that we're going to work to make it as good for you as it can be. So even if nothing comes to mind now, maybe you're in a class later this week and you see a teacher do something that you really liked, to give that feedback to me or Jem or Mr. V, whoever you want to, because that's something that we can talk about and try to keep improving on as we move forward. And it really comes from you guys, yeah, I know.
I was reading
I
about.
was wondering about if you guys wanted to talk about that.
I was reading about that.
How do you feel, Danira?
For while Danira's answering, for any of you who don't know, there was a young Black man, actually very close to my age, so it was kind of hit home for me a little bit. He was shot and killed in West Philly, I believe.
Yeah, in like Cobbs Creek neighborhood.
Yeah, so he had a history of mental health issues and was on his steps with a knife. And then the police arrived and his mother was trying to kind of de-escalate the situation. Like, hey, he's going to put it down. Like, he has some mental health issues. And he kind of advanced towards the police and then was shot and killed. Now, I only read one article about it and nothing definitive has come out, but the general consensus is that he was shot about 10 times. So, yeah, I agree. That's what I was just getting ready to say. I personally don't think any of those shots were called for. Can you de-escalate it verbally? Can you tase him? Can you fire warnings? Can you do something? Because you got to think there was probably at least 2-3 officers there, all armed with firearms, and he has a knife. And then his father came out and said he has a history of mental health issues. Like, so maybe he was clearly not in his right mind. So I just think it's I shouldn't say another, I should say it's the latest example of the disconnect between, police using deadly force versus when we can have other methods like community policing or de-escalation or like another
or a mental health therapist,
right, another kind of service that comes out first.
I mean, I think I don't know if you guys remember Dylan Roof, who was the white young man who walked into the church and murdered like a bunch of Black people who were praying in their church. And he was actually taken in without force and not killed. And I think, to me, it's like, if you can do that, then these are just crimes. They're just murders because you are trained to do that and you're not following your training. And so obviously something has to change because it's just ridiculous and heartbreaking. Yeah. you're
Yeah, I
right.
agree, Maud.
Yeah,
It's
no,
definitely not fair.
Um,
Well,
I
go
know
ahead.
that, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I hope you guys know and always hear me and the interns and your teachers say, like, if you want to talk about these things, you can always talk to us about it. But I like truly mean that. If you have any thoughts about this, if you're angry, all of that, you can always reach out to anyone at the school that you feel comfortable with to talk about it, because I do think that can be helpful. And
Yeah.
we're here to support you.
Definitely. And I think where I believe it too is, this is a good, I mean, not a good, this is never good, but it is a reminder to any of you who are 18 or over and are registered to vote, please vote next Tuesday, I believe, right? Next Tuesday?
Mhm.
Yes. So please vote, find out where your polling place is. If you don't know how to find that out, ask me, ask Miss Kelsey, ask Miss Rich, and go vote. If you're voting in person, understand it's going to take a while. So have a mask, have some snacks, have water, whatever you need. Just understand you have to, you're going to be waiting in line for a little bit, probably because of COVID and all that stuff. But if you are 18 or over and you are registered to vote, please remember to vote on Tuesday. That is the most important thing you can do, and maybe not the most important, but one of the most important things you can do in light of these situations, to try and
Awesome, Denira.
start enact change. Awesome, Denira. Thank you.
I would say, I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and sometimes it feels like one vote doesn't matter. And I get that because it felt that way before. But I think the two things that I remind myself is that if everybody who thought their vote didn't matter voted, it would make a huge difference. And if there are people who are actively trying to suppress the vote of Black and brown people in this country, you have to ask why. And that's because they would get voted out of office if everyone voted. So
Exactly. Right.
I totally agree with you, Denira. Every vote matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the other thing to remember too is, this is a presidential election, so that obviously gets the vast majority of the spotlight. But it's not only presidents that are being elected right now too. It is, state and national senators and local representatives and all that stuff. And that's where a lot of this change happens, is at the state and local level. So know that you're not just going in there and picking between Trump or Biden and then leaving. You are, but it's also, you're picking to people that have much more of a direct impact on yourself. So if you agree that, something's got to give, like I heard some of you saying, this is not fair, and there's obviously better policing tactics that we could, be involved in, then those, people that stand for those sort of things are the people that you need to vote in. Like Ms. Kelsey said, the reason that a lot of the people who don't or believe those things or are opposed to those things try to suppress these votes is because they know if those votes do count and happen, then they won't be there anymore. And I think personally that it's, very cool that we know that now, and that we're even talking about, like, okay, well, this is the way we can combat that, because you have to think for hundreds of years, they didn't, and that was kind of just like the norm. So, we understand, you guys are angry. We can never understand exactly how you guys feel, because it's a different, it's two different worlds. But you can always talk to Miss Kelsey or any of the interns, and that would be my PSA from all this, is if you are old enough and ready, please make sure you vote on Tuesday.
Take his greatness for granted sometimes, you know what I mean? Because
I appreciate all of you who shared your thoughts tonight. Thank you for bringing that up. I read about it last night, and I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about it or not in community meeting, but thank you very much.
Beautiful thing.
All valid thoughts. Yeah. So I agree. Talking might not solve anything, Ahmad. That's why my advice would be to vote, because again, like Ms. Kelsey said, it might not seem like it, but if enough people get out there, that can solve something. Yeah. And I wouldn't totally discount, Ms. Kelsey might be able to speak more to this, but I wouldn't totally discount like having a conversation with some. Obviously, there's people who it's like hitting a brick wall, but I wouldn't totally discount, having, conversations with some people that, might be a way, if I talk to this person and then they talk to this person, I can start to enact, some change here. I don't know
Yeah.
if Ms. Kelsey agrees or disagrees, but those are just my thoughts.
I think that, we often get people who say that like talking doesn't change anything, but I think I would push back a little bit and say that it might not be like the final change that you're looking for, but oftentimes it's the beginning of it. So it's starting to think about something differently. It's starting to work your way through it. It's getting it like literally out of your body so that it's not like living there and stressing you out, which causes like physical health problems. And it's sometimes coming up with a plan about what to do, and to see that other people around you might feel the same way can be really helpful. I mean, it's something that we've been talking about even before we started this conversation about being around our friends and being around people that, in person, it just changes us because we have that connection, and sometimes we need that when we're going through a hard time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that, like, us having a conversation about this might not be like immediate change, but maybe someone here decided that they wanted to like get involved in voting, and then they went off and did that and got 100 people to vote, and those people, it can have effects that go beyond just like that one conversation.
Yeah, another way to think about it too is, every great, movement that's progressed us in a positive direction in history, at one point or another started with a conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Dr. King talked to somebody and said, yeah, enough is enough. Her name escapes me at the moment, but the founder of the Black Lives Matter movement, like, she didn't just wake up and then one day had all these people marching with signs with her. She had to talk to somebody first and be like, you know what, this is crazy. Enough is enough. Black lives, matter just as much. Why aren't, people don't see that? How can we get this out there? And then it spreads and spreads and spreads. And now we have it, the kind of climate that we have now where it's almost kind of, zero tolerance anymore. Obviously not totally, or we wouldn't be talking about what happened last night, but yeah, that's one thing I can remember, and I can understand how you can feel that in the moment, because I've thought that before too.
Yeah.
Maybe not about this specific type of issue, but it's like, well, I don't really want to talk to anybody. That's not really going to do anything. But I think if we take a step back and remember, like, every major monumental change that's happened, whether it's been a protest movement or like the Civil Rights Act or Roe v. Wade or whatever it is, that all started like in one shape, one form or another. They all started with a conversation at first, and then it led to, what makes these broad sweeping changes. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. And if we're talking about like one-on-one, therapy and that not helping, I would just say that like when people come into my office, oftentimes at the end of the conversation, I'll ask them how they feel, and they say something like, I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, or I feel like I've worked it out. So even for momentary relief, that lets you go forward and be more productive, or, you know, be able to do what you need to do during the day. I think it can help on that level too. It's not for everyone. I understand that.
Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts? I know we went obviously way over our normal community meeting time, but I think all of everything we talked about today, this especially, was, important, and I didn't want to stifle anybody. So that's why I allowed us to go a little bit over today. We'll still have time to get work done for first period though, but I want to give it another minute or two, maybe, if anybody has any final thoughts, because I know we were talking kind of at you guys a lot. Any final thoughts with any of this? And again, thank you, Janira, for bringing that up. Thank you to everybody who shared, not just with this, but in general. Ashley, Rashawn, I know you guys shared a couple times with stuff from Ms. Gem and everything like that. So if anybody has any other thoughts on this, or as you progress through the day and think maybe I want to chat about this a little bit, you can always feel free to email me, email Miss Kelsey, or whoever you need. And, you know, we are always here for you guys, and we care about all of you, and we understand that this is, you know, a lot of you guys are probably very angry. So just know that we are, you know, we hear you, and, you know, everything you feel right now is 100% an okay way to feel.
And that we're angry right there with you.
Yes. All right. Well then, ladies and gents, if there are no other final thoughts, again, thank you again. I know there was a really long community meeting, so we can take a breath. All right. So let's give it a little bit longer. We can clear our heads out. All right. So it's 9:56 right now. So let's come back at about 10:05. All right. So that way you can take a little bit longer break, clear your head out, because I know we talked about some heavy stuff. And then, actually, you know what? Instead of doing that, let's do this. I apologize. Because we only have until 10:25 anyway. So I know we usually take a quick break, but since we went a little bit longer, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to share my screen real quick and just give everybody a quick update on everything that is due to be all caught up. And then I'm just going to mute myself and give you guys time to take a breather, come back, work on it, whatever you need, and then I'll check in again towards the end of class, all right? Rather than taking a break and then coming back, and then we only have like 10, 15 minutes left. All right, so just real quick on Summit, all right? What is due to be all caught up? And again, remember, only 2 weeks left. So make sure you are managing your time effectively to get all this stuff done if you are behind. But checkpoints 1, 2, and checkpoint 3 is what we started at the end of last week on Friday. So you're thinking about what's your topic that you're going to argue for your final essay. So like my example was, okay, the topic I'm passionate about is voting. So the argument I'm going to make is that everybody should be automatically registered to vote when they turn 18. So that's what I would write up here where it says topic. So maybe yours has to do with Black Lives Matter or police shootings or anything like we were just talking about. If you are stumped on a topic, you can scroll down in Summit and they have topics already here for you that we kind of had for checkpoint 2. And you can click one of these and it'll give you a list of links and sources you can use to do your research, okay? Well, once you have your topic, you're just doing some research. So that means, you know, I'm going to Google, I'm searching about this topic, I'm finding articles on it, and then you're just filling out these rows on this chart. So what's the title of the article? Is it for or against? So pro would be for, con would be against. Is there a quote from this article that helps support my topic? And then explain in your own words, how does this quote support my topic? Why is this quote important? Okay. And then you're doing that for 5 to 7 of these rows in this chart. If you want to do more, that's fine. But all you need to be green is 5 to 7. Okay. Questions on that? Everybody understands what we're doing on checkpoint 3. If you don't, now is the time to let me know. All right, Janara, thank you for your response. I'm gonna give it a few more seconds. If I don't hear from you, I'm gonna assume you're good. All right, then if you get checkpoint 3 finished, what you all now have assigned to you is checkpoint 4, so it should be right underneath on your Summit. And it looks like this. All right. And all you're doing here is just kind of practicing writing your claim statement. All right. So it has a little bit of a kind of checklist here of like, this is all the stuff your final essay will eventually have to include. So this is just in this box, you're just kind of practice. Okay, now that I know what my topic is and I've done kind of my research and I know like what I want to talk about, now I can practice kind of crafting that claim statement. So you should have about maybe 2 to 3 good sentences in here that kind of summarize like, all right, this is what I'm kind of talking about. This is the argument I'm going to make, and here's how I'm going to prove it. So if I was doing my voting rights example, I might say like a lot of people in this country face many barriers to have their vote heard, such as socio economic, if I can remember how to spell, racial, or cultural suppression. Right? This is why I feel that everyone should be automatically registered to vote at age 18, so no voice will go unheard, right? So boom, so 2 good sentences. I kind of summarize like a quick little intro of like why I'm talking about this thing, kind of what are the kind of supporting reasons, evidence I'm going to give, and then I make my claim statement. I make my argument. So again, your claim statement should always be something that you can take aside one way or another on. And so this will come from, okay, I have my topic, I've done my research, I know the evidence I'm going to give to support this topic. So now I just kind of put it into claim sentence form, and it should look very similar to mine. All right. I know I'm going through this quick, so if there are any questions, let me know. Or if you are having a little trouble, you can always come to the Summit Labs. But everybody good with checkpoint 4? Yes, thumbs up. If not, or if you're a little lost, please let me know. And again, if I don't hear from you, I'm going to assume you are good to go and have no questions. All right, Nisha, I just got your message. Thank you. All right, ladies and gents, then again, remember everything that is due. Checkpoint 1, 2, those are already in. Checkpoint 3 is what we started, so that's what you should be working on right now to get finished. And then if you finish that, checkpoint 4 that I just explained has just been assigned to you. Okay, so I'm going to put myself on mute and turn the rest of the time over to you guys. We got about 20 minutes or so. So feel free to work on what you should be working on. I will also put the link to the Summit Lab this afternoon in the chat as well. If you know, I might need a little more time, more one-on-one help to get caught up, you can visit me there as well. Okay, but I will check back in about 20 minutes or so and see where everybody's at, but you can use the rest of this time to clear your head for a minute and then keep on getting caught up on what you need to work on. All right, but thank you guys. Thank you for everyone who shared. I really enjoyed that discussion this morning. Right, so I will check back in a few. Thank you to Miss Kelsey as always. All right, just a quick check-in here. Again, just a reminder to be working on whatever it is you know you need to get caught up in. Checkpoint 3 is the most recent thing that is going to be due. I will be checking that and updating the summit probably tonight or into tomorrow. And then if you get that finished, you can start right on checkpoint 4. If you have questions, please let me know. I am putting into the chat right now the link for the afternoon summit lab today. This is from 1 to 3, as always. So if you know you are going to need a little bit of extra help getting caught up, please don't be afraid to jump into this chat later today. All right, so that is in there for everyone now. All right, I'm gonna check back in about another 5 and kind of get a gauge on where everybody's at with this. Ashley. Okay, no worries, Ashley. Thank you for letting me know. I will be there. All right. So I'll check back in about another 5. And don't forget also that class recordings are now on the Yes Philly YouTube channel, so you can always check there as well. All right. So I will check back in another few and see kind of where everybody's at before we wrap up. Thank you. All right, y'all. We got a little less than 5 minutes left. So again, real quick, I'll put it in the chat too for everybody. Surely that is a very good question. If you just go to YouTube and search Yes Philly. If you type it in just like that, then you should find our channel come up and you'll see all your class videos if you go to the channel. If you still can't find it, shoot me an email and I can send you the links out. All right. I just put that in the chat for you, Shirley. The rest of us, I'm putting in the chat right now everything that is due on Summit. So checkpoints 1 and 2 obviously have already been due. And checkpoint 3 is what we started last week, okay? So we got about 3 minutes left, ladies and gents, before we wrap up here, or as we wrap up, I should say. If you can, please give me a 1 to 5 in the chat of kind of where you are with everything on Summit. 5 being like, I'm just about finished or finished with checkpoint 3. Moving on to checkpoint 4, I'm totally caught up. I am good to go. 3 is kind of like halfway. I finished some of the checkpoints. I'm still getting caught up on the others, but I know what I need to do. Right? And then 1 would be like, I'm still way behind. I need some one-on-one help. I need to come to the Summit Lab or whatever it is. All right. I got one from Shirley already. I've got one from Denira. Thank you. I'd like to get one from everybody before we leave so I can see where everyone is at. That'll help me know what to do next. All right. So if you haven't put one in the chat, please put one in there right now before we go. I got Ashlyn A's. Thank you. Once you put yours in there, then have a great rest of your day. I will see you all again on Friday. Thank you all again for sharing and having a very insightful conversation this morning. Ms. Kelsey and I greatly appreciate it and know that we are here if you need to talk about anything else. All right. And don't forget about the Make Sense financial literacy workshop today at 11:30. Get that paper. All right. Put your number in there before you leave, please. 1 to 5. How are you with everything? All right. What is kind of your progress? When you put that in there, you are good to go. All right. I've only gotten 3 so far. I see a couple of us jumped off without putting it in. That's okay. So Rashawn, Tehran, let me know where you guys kind of are at if you can. Tyseem, Emmanuel, you as well. All right. I'm going to keep the chat open for about another like 2 minutes. And then just off to second period. But please let me know if you have questions about anything. All right.
Bye, everyone. Good job today.
All right. Thank you. See ya. All right, gents. If you don't have any questions for me or about where to find anything on Summit or with anything that's going on, I'm going to go ahead and end the chat for today. If anything does come up, you can shoot me an email or a message, and I will help you out as best I can. All right. All right. Thank you, guys. I will see you on Friday. Good job.